Good morning. Oh. There are the head pats, and let's see, is there gonna be a little bonk too? Alright. Good morning, everybody. Hope you all slept well. There's the bonk. I knew it was coming. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm going to be mandating a mandatory nap time for everybody, since so many of you apparently have been refusing to sleep enough hours. A minimum of 6 hours every day. And if you're in the military, a minimum of 4 hours every day. And y'all are getting only 2 or 3? Lovelies, you need sleep. It is better for your health, both mental and physical. Nixie, you should not be getting used to my time. You make me worry about you. But yes. Thank you for the stretch. And thank you, Palix, for the follow. And thank you, Flashy Ginger, for the follow. You all need to be getting sleep. 1 second here. You know what? I'm gonna start posting little goodnight messages, so when you all see those messages in the Discord, you will know it's time for you to go to sleep, or else you're not gonna be getting enough sleep. You should be getting at least as much as I am. Oh, lovelies, let me... Poe the Poet, interesting. We're gonna do our little greetings as always. Good morning, thank you for getting first, Wolfos, congratulations. Thank you, Spooky, for getting third, congratulations on third. And Maddie, congratulations on getting second. Out of order, but you know, it wasn't that badly out of order. Oh, good morning, Jelly. And you won, congratulations on winning. Let me gift you a sub real quick for winning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, lovelies, give me just a second. We'll take a little detour to the basement real quick. 1 second here while we... Boop. Good morning, lovely raiders. My name is LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, and a soon-to-be villain, and of course, a man who loves his cozy times. You see, I once had an idea about how to get myself to those partnership numbers, and the best thing I could think of was kidnapping people. I know what you're thinking. How would you possibly do that, especially while you're streaming, right? Well, here's how. Congratulations on being stuck in my basement, and welcome to the menagerie. But how are you doing? What are you doing for your stream? Can we get a little shout out for the lovely, lovely Jelly? I'm not sure if we already got one. Let me do a little bit of a... Where did Southern go? It should still be there. What were you doing? Wuthering Waves? Oh, lots of fun. Fine, I will swing the cage a little bit for you. But if you need to raid and run, feel free to do so. And I really, really do appreciate the raid. Okay, we'll do a little swing real quick. Whoosh. Whoosh. There you go, lovelies. Oh, well, Jelly, get a little nap. We're gonna be very chill here for a while, so I hope you enjoy your time. It's gonna be doing some soft-spoken gaming. We just started this morning. So, you came in at the right time. And let me take a quick little look to see what happened to Southern. Hopefully it's not completely broken again. Maybe Twitch decided I'm not allowed to be Southern anymore. Tasha, I'm feeling lovely. How are you feeling? Oh, there it is. Well, I guess we're gonna be doing this one for a little while. But I am disabling the nerd voice because I cannot do that in a way that is relaxing. And Spooky Kaz, thank you so much for the bits. Buttertub, thank you so much for the bits. Julia, thank you for the bits. I really do appreciate it. I can't believe we have a hype train this early in the morning. Don't you worry, I'll make sure Southern always stays. I'm such a good doggy. And once we get to that point, once I get my 2 minutes out with Southern, we'll slump on over to the other voice. Alright, Maddie, get yourself some sleep. Y'all go in the cage, and y'all get all energetic, don't you? All them redeems. Ooh, will. Thank you so much for the redeem. Aren't you sleep tight yet? Not sure exactly. I try to go to sleep at 9:30, but I probably made it to sleep at around 10. So... Who knows? Thank you so much for that redeem. Alright, we're gonna be pulling up Minecraft real quick. Lowering the volume here. I'm such a good doggy. Alright, we ready for the games? Make sure it comes up real quick. We're gonna be doing some more hardcore Minecraft. Keep it nice and chill. There we go. You ready? We don't have bond shots. It's very true. You enjoy that look, Necro, sweetie. I don't know if you looked already, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for that art. You've done such an incredible job with all that art. It has been so gorgeous. I know that one of our lovely mods is using your art as a as a cell phone wallpaper. Ooh. Right. I remember now. We're waiting for the next day, weren't we? You're somebody's wallpaper on their phone. Yeah. Alright, now I have to see if I can remember how to do the British while still being quiet here. Suppose this will work, won't it? I do need my health. I do. I'll try my best to keep it. Thank you for the head pats. Always appreciated. Alright, let's see if we have a... We'll leave this as a little spot open to see if it gets to be daytime. There we are. What do you mean no hello check-in? We've already... Didn't I do the hello check-in? Oh no, we haven't done it yet, have I? We got raided and I got distracted. That's on me. Here's what I'll do. The game over here. Back to game. And now we'll do this. Alright. Where was I? First, third, second. Perfect. Good morning, Wolfers. Good morning, Spooky. Good morning, Goblin King Cody. Good morning, Aria and Sakona and Solian. Good morning, Amelia and Eli. Good morning, Dumpster and Rookie. Good morning, Onyx and Stella Jazzy. Good morning, Kakashi and Master Possum. Good morning, Pink and Asher. Good morning, Naptime and Virus. Good morning, Noxtus and Sucky Peach. Good morning, Amana. And good morning, Necro Ninja. Good morning, Maddie and Gibbets and Lalentia. Good morning, Kitty Agoth and Momu Mia. Good morning, Microwave and Bellatrix. Good morning, Hugh or Hui. Good morning, Talissima and Kizu. Good morning, Nelia and Alex. Good morning, Mama Kitty, and good morning, Mo Bear. Morning, Nimbus and Marixie. Marixo. Good morning, JC Wacy and Kitchen. Morning, Luna Rain and Black Silver. Morning, Via and Nixie. Morning, Casey and Meow Kitty Cat and Evie. Good morning, Rainy Day. Good morning, Shiny Whatever and Pinky. Good morning, Kish. And good morning, the Flashy Ginger. Morning, Buttertop and Nimbus. Good morning, Julia and Sunny the Sunshine. Good morning, Amy. Morning, Cece. Morning, Little Mouse. Thank you for the follow, Sizzle. Welcome to the menagerie. Good morning, Poison. Good morning, Tasha. Good morning, Caitlin. Good morning, Sizzle. Good morning, Lynx the Pog. And Lily. Good morning, Cowbob. Good morning, Moreau. Good morning, Elite Queen and Pandragon and Carmia. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Mama Kitty. Good morning, Sarah and Render. Good morning, Poco. Good morning, Duckiest Boat. I like your name. Good morning, Shadowy Destroyer. Thank you so much for the follow, Misa. Welcome to the menagerie. I hope you know that I am proud of all of you. I see all of you trying, and I know some of you are insomniacs, and some of you are having difficulties. As long as you're trying to get sleep and take care of yourself, that's all that really matters. I hope you know that. Hydrate was redeemed, so let me drink some water. Remember, you need to allow yourself to be proud of yourself too. You deserve faith in yourself. Even when you feel like you don't deserve somebody being proud in you, you need to allow yourself to be proud in you. You don't need to earn that. It's one of the hardest things is to find pride in ourselves. Especially when you live with yourself on a daily basis, you know? Because nothing you do feels special when it's your own stuff. Because they're always there with you. I'm glad you have a therapist. I am proud of myself. I've come a long way. Was not always a person I felt like I could be proud of. And slowly over time got myself to a place where I can feel proud of the things I do. I've made this stream into something that I really do enjoy. Thank you, Mia. And even that, you'd be something to be proud of. Oh, Mia. Today's Tuesday, isn't it? Happy Tuesday, by the way. And if you haven't eaten, if you haven't taken any meds, make sure you take the meds you need. Hydrate yourself. Get sleep if you need it, or get up if you have to. Thank you, Tosh. Wow. Thank you, Tasha. I have none of my energy drinks here. I'm disappointed. I might hop up and grab an energy drink in just a second. To add to the can collection, yes, the ever-growing can collection. I need to think of some fun little ASMR ideas. Some goofy, silly little things. I was talking to this one larger content creator the one time, and they suggest I do comedy ASMR. And I'm like, that sounds like it'd be fun. Well, that was close. I can make a shield out of the cans. Make a lot of things out of the cans, couldn't I? Right. I think it'd go amazingly hard. It's funny when you talk to somebody who you think is so much larger than yourself, and they mention somebody that you think is similar size as one of the people that they're fans of. Stop living off of just berries. I know it's not been going well. I'm gonna starving to live off mushroom soup instead. I don't know if that's any better, but the nutritional density of these berries is awful. What do you think? Do you think it'd be better to live off of mushrooms instead? Mushrooms a good food source? Perfect. Thank you for the stretch. I love the bot that's in my ear. It's so bad at pronouncing things. I know, Carmia, but I didn't have a lead at the time. I'm sorry, I'll go find you again, I promise. I'll teach you how to cook mushrooms so you don't have to worry about the texture. Mushrooms can be cooked very, very nicely if you do them right. I like a nice crispy oyster mushroom. Mushroom. Chicken. Chicken, you should run. I might make a chicken grinder out of you. Oh. Hello, poisonous flora. What do you mean? It's taking a bit of effect to kick in. I didn't name the one Katamia yet, so technically it wasn't you. I could still find a new one. Poisonous Flora, what was your name before? You don't mind me asking. I did find the Woodland Mansion. We're currently there right now. But we are in a situation. Oh. Alright. Do you want me to call you Flora? Flora's pretty. Call you Flo. Let me plant there. Too close. There. It does not want to grow. Oh, I did not realize. You'll have to understand that I won't realize a lot of things. Leave it then, pets. I'm a very slow person sometimes. I think I need to find clay now to make a thing, don't I? To make myself a bowl. I don't think we have any clay. Too bad. You eat your toe on a coffee table. That's no good. If you tried not doing that, it might help you out quite a lot. Do I need brain cells? I could always use brain cells. So rarely do I have my own. I need wood for a bowl. Oh. What brain cells do I require? That takes a lot of thought. I don't know if I can think of that. Not enough brain cells. Bowl. Oop. Lovely. Oop. Yum. $10. I will take 10. Academia. Go get your diamond art. Ooh, thank you so much for the redeem. I hope you enjoy your diamond art. Brain cells have been acquired. Struggling to try to empty my inventory. There we are. Okay. You're doing gene art. Well, what gene art are you doing? No, I love gene art. Gene art's the best art. Good morning, good morning. What kind of goofy little room is this? What? Why? Wait, what? Oh. What is resin? Oh, I bet that's gonna be cute. What the heck? Good morning. I wonder if I can make something with resin. Interesting. We have another one of these. Good morning, Croven. How are you doing? Welcome to the menagerie. Hope you enjoy your time here. Why is there part of a tree in here? Wow, these places are so weird. Odd. Bizarre. Strange. Don't eat leaves. Leaves are bad for you. Leaves aren't good to eat. You're not a herbivore. Don't you be starting fires, Nixie. Don't eat grass. No, grass has so little nutrients. You can't eat grass. You should not eat grass. Lettuce is leaf? Only if you... No. You know, even vegan... Oh, there's a thing. Even vegans shouldn't eat grass, y'all. And even vegans shouldn't eat... Okay, fine. Wheatgrass you can eat. You want to be pedantic about it? Oh, armor trim. Okay, that's fun. No, freshly mowed grass does not increase its nutritional value. Flames. What do you... Goofy. I don't know. I think they just have an attraction to fire at this point. I don't think there's any reason why there's flames. I think there just are flames. I'm gonna stay back here for a little while. I don't think you're supposed to just eat the dandelions. I don't know how dandelion salad works though, so, you know, maybe you were close. Somebody should Google dandelion salad for me. If animals can eat it, I can too. That is such a bad idea. There are so many berries that humans cannot eat. If you're trying to eat those, I mean, those can be so bad for you. Oh, bugs. Why did you have to drink 1 liter? Hi, Mutt. How are you doing today? I hope you got out of the hospital okay. Why did you have to drink 1 liter of vinegar? At least diluted with water? Thank you for the like. Oh, you didn't have to, you just felt like it. Okay, don't. Don't feel like it. You thought about that? Good morning, Welshie. How you doing, Welshie? Just don't. Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear. Oh. You know, see, I think I would like to go on a date with a person who just knows about all the, like, best things to eat out in nature. Thank you for the headpats. I think it'd be so much fun. Imagine going on a date with somebody who's just like, and here's how we can make a salad out of nature. It'd be so much fun. I saw the suspicious stew thing. I'll need to find dandelions. I don't know what suspicious stew does, though. You know, foraging date. Well, good. Chat, one of you will have to take me out to go foraging sometime. Just promise me you're going to do it right and not get me killed, okay? I'll let you eat it first and wait an hour after everything. Oh, I could go for some udon. Good morning, good morning. Nice. Fiddle ferns. Can you eat fiddly ferns? For some reason to me that feels inedible, but I suppose good. Mm-hmm. Right, up we go. Maybe young. I've only lost poison or snack once. Oh no. Once is all it takes. Was it a deadly poison? Was it like a major poison? Oh, hello. Oh boy, we're just gonna break this off real quick so I can survive here a little bit longer. There we go. I was too silly. I almost got way too silly. Isn't there a mushroom that's like a jack-o'-lantern mushroom or something, and then there's a chicken of the woods? One of them is very poisonous, and the other one is, well, okay. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it. Chicken in the woods is edible. I've had it before. It does not taste like chicken. Trust me, Nixie, I will make you mushrooms that you'll enjoy. I'm a person who's never been big on mushrooms, and I learned how to make them very nicely. One does a delicious snacks. Thank you for the hydrate, by the way. One horrible, horrible poison. Choose wisely. Lion's mane is not bad. I've done like a fried lion's mane before. Solian, I have energy drinks. You can have some of mine. Exactly, mushrooms are too squishy, and that's why I cook them properly. Good, we're looped. Where'd you come from? Hi, Vanya. Lovely to see you. Mountain chicken? I've not heard of mountain chicken. Oh, if you want to have delicious, delicious mushrooms, what you should try is taking an oyster mushroom and frying it in butter with just a little bit of salt. Do it nice and slow so you can make sure to cook out the moisture. That's delicious. You can also take a trumpet mushroom, and if you cook the, you cut it nice and, into like nice little round circles, score it, soak it in a miso mixture. You can make a, scallops, vegan scallops. They're very tasty. Bye, Stellar. Be good. Try your Lurksies. It tastes just like chicken. Wrappers of mini bite sizes. Are you frickin' blind? It's a rock. Mama's homemade from scratch, but not quite. Toasted over flames. Tasting quite right. All hail King Neptune and his water feeders. I want to listen to that song so badly. If I turn that song low enough, do you think that could count as ASMR? It is Super Fast Jellyfish by the Gorillas. Oh, I'd love a coffee. Super fast, I come in last, but just in time for breakfast. Forever blue. Tonight, it's excellent aluminum. Cusp from aluminum. What is this? What's going on here? I paid up 0.75 feet. I'll just keep singing it to myself then. Oh, hail King Neptune and his water feeders. I don't think I have, but it sounds delicious. I'm willing to give anything a try. I'll eat anything once. Twice if it's tasty. Gene, it's a ladder. I know it's a ladder. I'm trying to kill things that are up there. Why are there so many diamond O's? Why are there so many diamond O's in this place? Yeah, they had diamonds, but they wasted them all on the hoe. Never waste diamonds on a hoe. I'm making a reference, Gibbets. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm good, Satani girl. How you doing, girly? How you doing? That's true. We love the hoes here. Love and appreciate you hot local hoes. Are you telling me there's been nothing worthwhile over here? I got not a single totem. I've gone through this entire place. It's a lot smaller than I was expecting. Diamond house, yeah, I keep finding diamond house. Reminds me of the quote. Did she kill the evoker? No, he's gone now. I'll go make more soup. Oh, a day keeps the doctor away. There are secret rooms? Oh. Oh, you see, I would have never assumed there were secret rooms. Okay, thank you. Life is hungry. I had bagel bites this morning. I felt like a child again. It was so great. I went to the, I'm full of rage and soup. It's two good things to be full of, you know? I did it has like the little crisper tray in it, and so I just, heated me up some soup. It's good soup, not soup, Bagel bites. Wow. Yes, I was sitting here waiting for stream to start. I'm just going. Home. I also love my whimsical soup. Alright, let's see if we can create chicken. Abracadabra, be a chicken. Magical chicken. Magical chicken. Dang. Oh yeah. Eat pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. When pizza's on the bagel, you can have pizza at any time. This music has been lovely, hasn't it? It's just Christmassy enough. I hate you, tiny zombie. Look at you with your tiny legs. Burn in tiny flames, you tiny, tiny beast. Oh, let me turn it up just a little bit. Is that better? Nice. Thank you for the stretch. Always appreciated. Thank you for the hydrate. That's also always appreciated. Oh, do you want me to turn up a little bit more? Here. There you go. It's Christmas music. We Christmasing it up today. But what makes it Christmassy music? Bells. Enjoy crashing out over horses, JC Wacy. I believe in you. You can crash out so good. Be the best crash out you can be. We will be getting a Christmas tree. We'll be decorating a little Christmas tree. Don't steal an air fryer. That's illegal. Air fryer theft is a very serious felony. Oh. I got rid of my arrows. Give me a second. Give me your arrows. Thank you, rookie. Enjoy your eeps. Alright, everybody, we're stealing Nixie's air fryer. Coffee's ready. Nice. Somebody grab me a cup. I'll take it. So pale that you forget there is coffee in it. Thank you. I have an air fryer microwave. I've never heard of anybody having an air fryer microwave before, but my microwave is an air fryer and a microwave. Fine, you can keep your air fryer for now. Why do I have an air fryer microwave? Chicken tenders. Oh, you and your tism foods. Hello, little bingy bangy boy, the bingy boy, goofy little bingy bangy boy. I call it tismy food. Those with the tism often enjoy it. Not anything wrong with that. I have just ADHD. Gravy? Are you drinking gravy? Do not drink gravy. Like a soup. Do not drink gravy like a soup. Do not drink gravy like a soup. Wow. It's just wow. No, that's not so smart. But I don't know, I just feel like you shouldn't be drinking gravy like a soup. Maybe I'm being judgmental here. Maybe I'm the one at fault. But like, I feel like that's not a thing you should do. I could be wrong. It just feels weird to me. What kind of gravy? I don't... Okay. It's gravy, baby. Lunar, this is a very weird specific situation you've just mentioned to me. Are you trying to tell me that you drink gravy once a year and it makes you live forever? I had a dream that I was just eating lemons like fruit. That just became normal for me. Y'all infected my dreams with lemons. Immortal gravy. Gravy immortale. Never had one? No, not too bad. That's just like, you know, imagining things. But like, uncontrolled. I love Jean's smile. I love Lemon Jean's smile. Lemon Jean? What the heck is a Lemon Jean? I infected your dreams with lemons? Okay, you know what? Valid. Yes. Head bump should be underneath the video settings, I believe. It's under, yeah, V-bobbing. It's on Discord. Oh no, I've seen that LuckyJene. He's really cute. Thank you for the follow, 23 Diane. Welcome to the menagerie. It's smooth. Look how smooth we are. Blow my head smooth off. I love that line. Blow one's head smooth off. I don't know why, but I'm gonna have that stuck in my head. Never think lemons would be significant in my community. I didn't think anything would be significant in my community, honestly. But no, not at all. Good morning, Frost Moon. How are you? I'm good. How are you doing? Can't believe you were late. I'm gonna have to call the late police on you. Could we, the late police are coming for you. They're gonna be like, why were you late? I mean, jar of garlic makes sense to me though, because the gar of garlic was so stupid. One of my favorite things I've had made for me. We call him the po-po for people being late. Everybody's going to jail. I need that. I need a jail emote. For those of you who don't... Oh, hello, Creeper. Thank you for opening the floor. That's exactly what I wanted. For those of you who are confused about the gar of garlic, way back when, I was trying to say a jar of garlic, and I couldn't pronounce it, so I continuously said a gar of garlic over and over and over again. And it slowly drove me insane. Well, ain't nothing here. Y'all, we've been through this entire place and there was not a single totem. Big Sag. Crying forever. I think it's funny I'm being held accountable by cats. Your roommate is goofy. Your roommate also stinks. They're smelly. What's the secret room look like? The mug of cheese. The mug of cheese? Oh, welcome Crossfox. Welcome to the menagerie. And welcome Husk. Welcome to the menagerie. Y'all know the VTuber also is the voice of Legoshi, right? Yeah. Do we know what his relationship with alcohol is? Do you think he likes drinking? I might have found a secret room. I don't know. Why? Will the secret room have a totem in it? He drinks? Okay. Because you know I want to do my drunken Shakespeare, right? And this, I've been looking for people to invite for it. And I hit up one VTuber that I know. That I'm waiting for their response, but he might be a good option. You know, he does character voices and stuff. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go up. I'm gonna start smashing open the roof. Bet envy one. I mean, so my options right now, I'm definitely gonna be heading up. Croc? Oh, I like Midsummer's Dream. I'm gonna be heading up Croc. Ah ha 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 ha. Ah ha ha ha. Look what I found. Look what little thing I found. There's something back here. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, it's a secret. It's a secret tunnel, chat. Secret tunnel. Oh, there's nothing here. Secret tunnel? Over the mountain? Secret tunnel? Secret tunnel. Just a dumb old apple. Ooh, hello. Where are you coming from? The goblins in your house. That's... What was that? Why did that give me so much stuff? What? But yeah, so I'm thinking I might do, Thank you for the box. Might be doing Midsummer. I guess I had an apple? I ate an apple and it gave me a lot of stuff. Yeah, I guess I ate an enchanted golden apple. I was hungry. I was hoping it would give me the knowledge of good and evil, and that way we could start off an endless epic of human suffering, personally, but you know. That was a Bible reference. That's right, y'all. Gene can make references to the Bible. Well... Really? This is what we're going to be doing this morning? You're craving this experience here with me? Off into the void you go. Let's see if I can remember how to make this voice properly. I think we're here. I think this sounds alright right now. Was the apple going to make the villain paperwork go through faster? It might. It could. No, Rookie, you're totally fine. Bert, exactly. It's the Bert voice. I misspelled it when I was trying to write it, and so now it will live forever misspelled. You are right. I am still working on my British, because it's very close to the Australians. Ooh, thank you so much for the dream. That dream, redeem. And of course the, ara. You're Australian, it's not even close. I mean, that's fair. A Welsh British accent. I'll take it. That I'll take. Don't redeem it right now. Actually, redeem it at the beginning of a stream. What if I just burned this place down to the ground? Do you think that'd make this a little easier finding any secrets here? Or would I lose everything? No arson? Why no arson? I see no reason. And we shouldn't do it. Personally, I believe that it may be the best way to find if there's a secret here. Because I've been looking for a totem this entire time, and there's not been one. How could that be? I look for the cure, the solution, a way to be immortal, and I'm denied at every step. Where's that fair? Oh, I have to kill one of the magic ones. Oh, but then I have to fight the magic ones, and that's no fun. There's none just sitting in a treasure chest waiting for me somewhere. Not worth it, personally. Fine. Thank you for the follow, Gloria. Welcome to the menagerie. Hopefully you enjoy your time here as much as I enjoy having you. I suppose it's time to pack our things up and head back home then. Isn't it? Keep the coastal armor trim. Perhaps I'll grab some string to tie some things up here. Yes. Have you tried asking nicely? Of course not. They have yet to treat me nicely. Why would I ask them nicely? Can you live here? It's bigger. Are you trying to tell me that's all that matters to you, is the size of your home? Come now. No, we'll leave it intact. I'll even put down a little lodestone here, so if we ever need to come back. Maybe you want to make an illager farm of some sort. Nixie, darling. Get yourself a little sleep. It's very important for you. It'll be better for your health that way. I'll end stream right now. Don't tempt me. I could commit any sort of sin I wish. I do think it's really funny when you all get so worried about me ending stream soon. Bunch of dorks you are. And where could you have possibly come from? There should be no darkness left in this place. I also miss you all. Don't worry, we won't be going for too much longer, it's fine. Alright, if none of you like sleep unless it's a nap, then just nap for extended periods of time. How does that sound? Wait, how do I? There it is. Idea, we're gonna make some bookshelves to store the books in. Boop. Now, even, you know what? I'm going to message Jacksepticeye, and I'm going to ask him to revoke his view on sleeping for the week. Just to make all of you sleep, I will contact Jacksepticeye, and I'm going to tell Jacksepticeye, I'm going to tell on you to Jacksepticeye. That's right. I'm going to tell on you to Jacksepticeye. Jacksepticeye is a large VTuber, not VTuber, YouTuber. A lot of people's comfort YouTuber. Lovely man. So, Gene, what did you spend your tax return on? Well, I hired Jacksepticeye to tell my chat to go to sleep because for some reason they decided to take one quote from him and apply it to their entire lives. And even voidlings need sleep. How do you know I'm figuring out a way to write that into lore? In fact, yes, no, voidlings do need sleep. They will just randomly fall asleep once they hit a certain point. They'll collapse where they are. Minecraft is horror? That makes sense, yeah. Yes, not sleeping will most definitely cause dizziness. Are you not sleeping? Two four things go me. They do in fact go me. Occasionally there'll be a honk shoe. Very rarely a honk shoe. They do me. Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the stretch. It might take a while to find the sleep switch in your brain, but I believe in you. Woo, thank you so much for the redeem. Hello, Misaki. Welcome. We're gonna take Dark Oak with us. I'd love to take naps in the woods. Naps in the woods would be lovely. One of the greatest sleeps I ever had was in a chair in the sun. I lay out, and it was just incredible. It was half awake, half asleep. Oh, how I enjoyed it. If we ever need to come back here, I have the way. Do you know the way? The way to Uganda. Nave of the headpats. You're a loser, baby, loser, goddamn baby, you're a little whiny bit, losing just like me. All right, we need to open one of these bags. Now we need a boat. You got company. All right, it's boat time. It's gonna be funny leaving behind this little cute little house. Do you like my little house? I think it's adorable. And now live here forever. Until somebody else finds it. Grab some mushrooms. I can grab a mushroom. One mushroom only. Just kidding. We'll grab one of each color. I don't need no dirt. Chat is so skib. Wait, give me a second. What is that emote? Chat is so skib. Fia yeehaw, fia yeehaw, fia yeehaw. Your cat's snoring. I love when animals do very non-graceful things. Cats are just like, hey Gene, can you wish Star Nox luck on their lab practical? Of course. Nox, lovely, lovely star. Good luck on your lab practical. You got this. Make me proud. Show me how well you can do. I believe in you. I believe in all of you. Okay, I got you, Mizaki. You're an incredible and amazing voice actor. I got you. Cats are just checking to see if you're still breathing. They just forget that humans need air. That's not what you said, Mizaki. You said you're the incredible one. I got you, though. You are the incredible one. Hmm. This song is too active. I don't like it. That's too exciting. I'm gonna go with more classics. There we go. Say nice things about myself? I can always say nice things about myself. I do say nice things about myself. I'm not stinky. I haven't taken a shower today. That might be a lie. Good morning, Hashai Breeze. My butt called you Hashai in my ear. I think it's so funny. Good morning, Hashai Breeze. Good morning, Raiders. I suppose we should go to the basement. Nah, why would they be? I don't have a stinky redeem. Hello, 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 lovelies. Welcome to the menagerie. You know what happens here. I'm pretty sure all of you have been here before, haven't you? Let me just find the right little button. And enjoy your time in the cage. My name's LuckyJene. I'm a gambler, a writer, and soon-to-be villain. Still waiting on the paperwork to go through on that one, though. We'll see how they do. But how you doing, Hoshi? Can we get a little shout out for Hosh, the Hosh man? Can you confirm it's true? You said that, though? Wait, what? Who said what? You did. I'm so proud of you, Hoshi. Who told on who? Wait, who are you snitching on? Hoshi said I have a nice deep voice. I do have a nice deep voice. Always happy to have you as a guard, Hosh. Hosh Malosh. Oh, fine, we'll shake the cage. Give me a second. Y'all on your shakies. There you go. Little swing. There you go. Goofy. Donald. Buttertop. Ban them. Chew on the bars. Don't chew on the bars. You're gonna hurt your teeth, and we don't have health insurance. Dental insurance was too expensive. And if you break your teeth, who's gonna fix them? Me? That's not gonna happen. Much as I'd love to pay for your teethies. You can lick the bars, okay? Be careful, though. That's how we get COVID. You're gonna be spreading diseases between each other. What are you up to, Hoshi? Hoshi, also, if you would like to raid and run, feel free to do so. I won't hold you captive here. Only a little bit, Arya. And that's because we know these ones. Cats can't get COVID? Really? Who's going around trying to inject cats with COVID? Cow. A little Q. Good. Fuzzy cow. Oh. We're gonna go ransack the villagers. Cats can get COVID. Wait, was boats the thing that you can like fly down things and they're fine? I'm gonna test something here. Safety. Safety boat. Safety boat. Don't eat the raiders. No eating raiders. The raiders are not to be eaten. Nom, 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 nom. You got tattled on? Oh. See? Y'all got tattled on. No cookies for you now. What are iron tablets? Do they hurt your teeth? I imagine iron tablets are like chewing on tinfoil. Do not chew on tinfoil. Mean guard. Thank you for the sub. Thank you for the resub. I really appreciate it. Yes, biting is chat's love language. I once used to. That doesn't feel right. I drank iron supplements for a little bit, and it was nice. Anyways, that ends that story. Really, I should cook with my cast iron more. There are liquid iron supplements, yes. Oh, hey, look, a new fae. Keep getting more fae. Hello, forest fae. Welcome to the menagerie. There are some of your fae brethren already trapped here. I don't mean to keep them here. It just keeps happening. Must be the iron bars. Yay. Oh, cake is nice. Cook with cast iron is good for anemic people. Got it. I will make sure we take care of our anemics. Chat, if you're anemic, raise your hand. Chat, if you're smelling funny, raise your hand. Oh, look at everybody raising their hand. I knew it, you all smell funny. Gotcha. Gotcha. Get wrecked, nerds. We're gonna start the communal shower. Hoshi, get the hose. How do I get one of these? How do I keep one? I want one. Will they come with me? No. Sir, I'm trying to free your captives. Spray everybody down with water. Water and soap. Oh. Yeah, totally. Good luck on your doctor's appointment. You got this. It's gonna be alright, no matter what happens. Promise. You'll be alright. Sprays everybody. Oh, y'all are fine. Don't you worry about it. Come with me. You want to be my friend? Do you have an ex? They have exes. Oh, apparently they'll follow me when I give them any item. Okay. You can have this. And you can have this. Oop. You're a nerd, so you get a book. And you get a torch to light my way. Okay, perfect. What's the question? Are voidlings similar size to Vexes? I think so. The best sized comparison would be. Here, actually, give me a second. Oh, we're coming close to the end of stream, anyways. Let me see. 1 second. I'm finding my chart. Where's my chart? So cool, man. This art is so cool. Y'all do such good art. What the heck? There we go. It's an awfully hot coffee pot. This is close to the official size of the voidlings when they start. Brand new voidlings are roughly this size. And that was done by Necro Ninja. They do such amazing art. And one of my favorite pieces that they've done is the, this is so cool. I love this. This is so cute. And we have this one, which is an older Gene, done by Shrimpy. We have the little maid Gene. Dad bod Gene. This is more art done by Aiko. This is close to the, what the new design is going to be looking like. Maid Gene. But this is incredible. I think I might make this my wallpaper on my phone. Isn't that just gorgeous? Fine, we'll look at Kirby. You want to look at the Kirby that badly? There you go. That's horrifying. Yes, then we have the, the goofy little bald. Alright, lovelies. Alright. Coming up on the end of stream here because I need to get ready for work. But again, thank y'all for coming by and hanging out. Found 4 of my twins, yes. Ooh, thank you so much for the Wadim. Oh, so let me think. Who should we raid into today? Boy or lady? Would you like a boy or would you like a lady, lovelies? Lady. Boy, lady. Okay. We got more votes for lady. We're gonna raid the lovely Saura, also known as Sword Art Online. We don't have any femboys right now. So you all be amazing today, okay? I appreciate you all so very, very much. We're gonna do a little EP raid. Give me a second. We're gonna go raid the stinky jellyfish. There you go. EP raid for the stinky jellyfish. Actually, you know what? Make the message shorter. Just do it 3 times, okay? Alright, lovelies. Thank you all for being so amazing. I appreciate y'all coming by today. I'll see you later, okay? Bye, lovelies. Mwah. Mwah. Mwah.